Hi everyone, some gamer dude here. So back when EDL came out, we didn't know how much to buy, so we only ended up with one pre-release kit, in which we pulled Selesta and Ragnarok. Thank God it wasn't Walzer, but Ragnarok was also kind of a non-want. The main ones I wanted were Mikage and Aburazuki. I think most of us wanted the Fire Ruler, whose name completely escapes me. And Selesta was kind of in the middle. I think she's alright, but she snowballs really quickly. We got, as I said, we got Selesta and Ragnarok. Friend who picked Selesta didn't end up being terribly keen on her. He's more into the Gloria cards. So I ended up with her. So I got a pile of cards for that here. Only got one Kiki, so had to make a budget build. Also, remember, we play with Jeff format to save a little bit of dosh. So, fast forward, I pick up some singles to finish up the deck, and I've already played it on Untap. I don't think it's a bad deck at all. I think it's a lot of fun and was doable on a budget. So, I just wanted to show off what I got in terms of singles, because singles are hard to get in Australia. Then I'll go on to a budget Selesta deck. So, first up, I picked up the promotional version of Vlad Tepes. I wanted the promo version of this card. I've got the original, but I just wanted the promo to have it. It was only $4, so it's not like it's a lot of money. Not terribly usable. It's not usable in any of the formats we play, but I just wanted it mostly for the artwork and whatnot. I think it's a nice card, and it's a nice memorial for when that card was very, very strong. Next up, 2 copies of Wise Dragon, so I have 3 of them. Very necessary to have that end part of the deck. And I didn't realise there's part of the text box that has part of the image. Actually, I just want to check the copy I've got in the pile of cards to see if is genuinely how they look. I'd never noticed that before. So I got another copy of the Elegant Mikage Sisters. It's not the best card in the world. I just like it and want to run as many as I can because I like the card. Next up, 2 Jewel of the Panda King. I think it is good enough to run max copies of. I think it's a fantastic control card. And yeah, what is else to say? Only had the one. And finally, 1 copy of Academy Guard of Lycian. I think this is, I don't know if anyone really runs this card, but I think it's really, really nifty for slowing a lot of plays down. Not the greatest card in the world, but it's annoying enough to run. The fellow also threw in some promos, which I am thankful, but 2 of them were actually useful to me. Although, to be fair, I already have 4 copies of this card. I just wanted the promo. So we'll go back to front with them. This is... Ooh, that's lyric? No. Oh god, that's not making things any better. I hope you can read this, because I can barely read it in the viewfinder. This is Rainbow Arrow. I'm not terribly familiar with the card. I think it might be from quite a while ago. Probably doesn't do me any good, but it's a nice artwork with... I think it's Melfi, Little Red, and Nyarlathotep, Little Dread, I think she was back then. I really don't remember, but it's not a bad card. Next up, we have the pre-release promo for Set 2. I think this is actually the only Set 2 card we have for Saga Cluster. It's Azeroth Manifestation of Death. As I said, we didn't buy any of Set 2. It wasn't a terribly interesting set for any of us because we don't care about the 6 sages. So there's that. Next up, Wanderer in the Nightmare Land. This is actually my second promo copy of it. I do still have that Valentina deck. This is actually a really good auto-include for that. I really like it. Might see if I can get a 3rd copy of it. Vala, I think, might be the only expensive part to that deck left I need. And a promo Mikage Rhea. Now, I know she's not worth how much she used to be, $20. I paid for my non-4 copy to get my playset of 4, but different art, nice picture, glad to have it. Probably, I don't know if I'll put this in my deck, but I do really appreciate having it. So I'm going to pause the video here, make the Selesta deck, and I'm back to it. So if you need a refresher on what Selesta does, and I'm really sorry about this video might end up a little bit blurry, I can't help it. She has a judgment cost of water 1. She wants to get out quick. Exploration X for 0. You look at the top X cards of your deck, which is X is the magic stones you have. So 1 at 1, 2 at 2, etc. Reveal a card. If it's a treasure, she removes it from the game. Then she puts the rest on the bottom of the deck. And she can also pay X to choose X cards from your removed area removed from the first effect and put them onto the chase. So she can use them from the remove from the game pile for just 1. And she can only do this once per turn and once only on your turn. When she flips for her 3, she becomes a 1/1, except she's not. She gains +7/+7 for each treasure in your removed area that was removed via an exploration effect. She gains Eternal so long as there are 5 different treasures with different names removed via the exploration effect on the other side. And X, choose X cards that were removed via the exploration ability you control. Put a copy of each of them on the chase and do this only once per turn, once during your turn. Again, this is a budget build. We don't have Kiki, so she is the only way to get them out. But we have a lot of assistance to help, and we have a lot of assistance in terms of new cards that are really nifty. So the Magic Stone deck is just 4 of Hearthstone and 6 of the Water Magic Stone. Again, this is a budget build. I'm trying not to break the budget here. Tap to produce blue, tap, produce 1 will of any attribute, spend this only on treasures. So all this treasure stuff leads up to the treasure pile. Now, where is it? Because I made a lot. I'm putting a lot in. So, that's kind of the way the deck has to run. You have to run a lot because you don't have Kiki. Because you need a bit more consistency. Even with the new consistency cards, you need more because no Kiki. So, we have 2 Claw of the Dragonoid, which is fire for 1. Quick cast your J-Ruler gains Pierce and Swiftness until end of turn. Draw a card. Now, Swiftness is only temporarily useful. Pierce is what makes Selesta deadly. As soon as she has 5 different ones, she is a 36/36 with Eternal. Now Pierce. She's in game-winning territory automatically. Next up, we have Arm of the Dragon. Black quick cast for 1 J Resonators. You control gain Drain and Bane until end of turn. Actually, is this J Rulers or... just J Rulers. This one is J Resonators. So, with our alternate win con, and it's all of your J Resonators, so you have a lot of choices there, you can gain a lot of life, and if they block, you can kill it. So, that's good. We want to gain a lot of life, but we don't really need to gain it, but we would like it. So, next up we have Crown of the Ancient King. It's a 2-cost quick cast that gives J Resonators you control barrier until end of turn and prevent the next damage to them. This is a card that I'd like to only have 1 in the remove pile, 1 in my hand in case of emergency. Mostly because Selesta can't do things at quick cast, and I really want this in my hand for the alternate win con I've got. I can cast it at normal speed on my turn. Well, I cast it instant speed on my turn. I need another copy to cast it on their turn. And sometimes you will need to give Selesta or the alternate win cons barrier so they don't die. Next up we have a soul copy of Dispelling Stone. It's a card. It destroys an addition, draws you a card, shuffles itself into its deck. It's light 1. Sometimes it's needed, like against Wolfgang, although Wolfgang can quite easily get around it. If I was playing competitively against Wolfgang decks, even just against Wolfgang decks in general, I'd probably side in 2 copies of this into Selesta. I think it's actually worth siding into most things, to be honest, right now with Wolfgang, if he's popular with your group. Next up, we have 3 copies of the Mermaid's Thunder Parasol. This is another card I really like. I think you should keep a copy in your hand in case of emergencies. Remove 1 and third one for consistency. Quick Cast deals 400 damage to each, 400 damage for each card in your hand to target J Resonator, shuffle into its owner's deck when it resolves. So the reason I want another copy is, again, Selesta can't do things instantly, and the deck revolves around having a really huge hand. I really want 7+ cards in my hand at all times, just so other cards are really, really good. And again, that alternate win con. But again, control. Other control, which is a bit more deadly in some ways, is Jewel of the Panda King. So this isn't so much deadly because it kills things, but because of other cards I'm running, which you might have an idea of right now. So quick cast for 2 blue, return target non-magic stone, non-J-roller entity to its owner's hand, draw a card. Again, I want 1 removed, 1 or 2 removed, I want 1 in my hand. I want to be able to cast this instantly, but I want to have the ones for Selesta. You have to balance those out. So, where are we next? Next up, this only needs to be cast once. This is Endless Purse, no maximum hand size, draw a card. You can remove it, you can cast it. As long as it gets casted once, you just need to hit in case you go up to 8+. You're going to be drawing a lot of cards. I kind of would like to see it removed just to draw that card. But you need the Endless Hand. And finally, our addition from 2.5, Celesta's Tremendous Treasure Trove. Quick cast, draw a card. When it resolves, shuffle it into its owner's deck, and while it is removed, it is considered to be 2 different treasures with 2 different names. So we'll call them Celesta's Tremendous Treasure Trove 1 and 2. Each copy has the same 2 names, so they're all 1 and 2, but that's considered, well, all 3 are considered 2 new cards to your removed area if you're counting different names like Selesta does for her Eternal, or 6 if you're counting for Selesta or other cards for just raw count. Really nifty card, worth running. You want it removed really quickly. Speaking of removal, we'll look at the rest of the removal package. So opening hand is quite important. We have 6 cards for opening. First is Lunya, the Master Guide. The implication issues guiding Selesta. Cost 1, enter. You may search your deck for a treasure and reveal it, then put it on the top of your deck. So basically works a bit like Kiki, except it, well, actually it's not like Kiki, it doesn't give you more chances at it. What it does is it secures you the exact ones you need whenever you need them, so you can play to the board. If you really need, say, Parasol to keep them at bay, Parasol. If you need them to draw cards, there you go. If you want to bounce, again and again. Actually, speaking of, that it doesn't target opponents' ones, it targets any. So you can get your Panda Magic Stone, bring it out, cast this. You're going to lose some of its effects, and then just use Selesta to use Stone, Panda Stone to return it to your hand, to cast it next turn to get another specific card into your remove pile via Selesta. So the other half is at the end of turn, if you've played an exploration ability, draw a card. Now that really depends on a few things, but there is the choice for Panda if you want to secure specific things. If you want to draw the cards, you have that option. It's a good card. It really is. Next up, we have the hidden history of Selesta. So enter, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top of your deck. If you get a specific one you want in your opening hand and you have this, you can just put it there. A really good card for that. And tap it, produce, and you don't have to pay to use her effect for each one of this. So it counts as an extra magic stone for Celesta's ability, which really nifty. So basically, you cast this, get whatever you need on the top of the deck, tap it, and then use the ability to cast whatever it is. So that's actually really nifty. And as you get them, and as you put them, it counts like extra security on getting specific ones. So the rest of the control package, Academy Guard of Lycan. I have noticed these new cards chip really easily. Don't know what that's about. So anyway, it's a quick cast. Each player can only play one Resonator per turn, and they can only play one Chant per turn. Really good for stopping certain decks. Don't think it's worth running three in my case, but it's good for putting a breaker on your opponent's turn. Not something I'd use all the time because it can backfire where you need to cast multiple Resonators or multiple spells, but it doesn't actually fiddle with her main ability because she's not casting the the treasures. She is just putting them on the chase. So she interacts with him really well. The reason I'm not running max copies is, again, if I need to cast multiple, it may backfire. But it is good for putting a kibosh on things. Next up, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this card's name right. I have 3 copies of Chalina, Sorceress of Sending Back. Now, both the alternative cards in this deck, the alternative half doesn't matter. It's superfluous. You don't need it. Her effect is enter your may return target Resonator to its owner's hand, and then if an entity your opponent controls would be put into its owner's hand by the ability of another card, you may put it on your opponent's bottom of the deck instead. So Panda puts it on their opponent under the opponent's deck, so it becomes much better. Unless they're searching the deck a lot, they lose access to it. I think this kind of effect should have been in blue for a while. I really like it. Also has other applications here. It's not just that, but it does make Panda Stone really, really painful to deal with for a lot of decks that would otherwise get it back from the graveyard. Like, it'd screw over Mikage. Sorry, not Mikage. Yeah, actually, it would screw over Mikage. But it'd screw over Rezard a little bit. Most because you start to get rid of Raya, and then there are other things, and it becomes a problem for them. Finally, we have Wise Dragon for this little package here. Wise Dragon is a really nifty card. Costs 5 as a 10/7, except it's not. It also has flying. You pay 1 less for it for each treasure in your removed area, removed by an exploration ability you control. So, again, the Tremendous Treasure Trove counts as 2. It's not counting each specific name, so each one there counts as 2. It can be reduced to 0 quite easily. And then when it enters, you return 2 target non-magic stone, non-gyro entities to your opponent's hand, and then draw a card. Again, the draw a card thing we actually really like. Being able to bounce 2 things on something that can very easily be free. Very, very good. Very good card in my opinion. I really like it. Actually, this one and the Light Dragon, I think, are the better 2 of the dragon sequence from this set. I think the green one's quite good, but I don't remember it very well. Again, I didn't like the Welser deck. Finally, we have the alternate win con. So we've been drawing a lot of cards for a lot of reasons. First up, we have Mirage Fantasy Guide. Again, for C, doesn't really matter. But whenever we draw a card, which we've got quite a few abilities that do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this card. So she starts at a 5/7, she goes up to 7/9, and she just keeps growing and growing. And due to another card in the deck, she's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. Really good card for that. Although, despite being a super rare and the other card we're talking about being an N, a normal card, I would actually say the N is much, much better. Because this needs to be beefed up. Yeah, its defense goes up with it, but it's not as good as Sky Cover Squirrel. Sky Cover Squirrel is an overlooked card in my opinion. 0/8 for 2, flying, and to draw a card. Doesn't sound very good. Then it gains +2 for each card in your hand. Again, we want to maintain 7, we want to have endless hand. At 7, it's a 14/8 with flying. And it's just going to keep growing and growing, and we can get rid of threats. We can hopefully give it barrier if they try to get rid of it. We can do lots of things to make it really, really strong and protect it. And again, Selesta is hugely powerful. But I'd rather just go in with Skyclaver Squirrels to kind of bait out all their control cards until it's time to go in for the Selesta Smack. Good card, I think it's very underrated. Finally, we have 3 copies of Appraisal of Treasures. Now, this doesn't look like a good card, but it is a 5 cost, but it's not. Like the Dragon, pay 1 less for this for each treasure in your removed area that was removed by an exploration ability you control. So, with 2 tremendous treasure troves, it becomes just blue. And then, reveal the top card of your deck, count the number of water will symbols in the attribute cost, so which is usually 2, maybe 5 in this deck, but usually 2. Then you draw 2 cards. Well, 1 for each water attribute you revealed. But as I said, most things have 2. It's not going to fizzle all the time, but it'll fizzle a bit. Because we have like maybe 6 cards that aren't blue, but most of them are. Nevertheless, powers up the Mirage, powers up the Squirrel, counts towards that alternate win con, gets really, really good. And also powers up the Parasol. So a lot of use here, and you get a lot more options out of it. Who knows, you might draw into another one, summon it for 1, do it again. And just keep doing it, and just keep doing it every turn. And again, Sky Cover Squirrel just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Again, this is a budget deck. Try to keep that in mind. It's not meant to be super powered. I think it's a lot of fun. I have played it on Untap. I really like it. This has been some Gamer Dude, and thanks for watching.